Hi everyone in cloud computing and welcome to episode 18 of the Cloud Computing Australia show with Brad Nelson and the world's #1 cloud industry expert and thought leader, David Linthicum. This show is sponsored by Nelson Hilliard, cloud computing recruitment specialist, placing great people in cloud, IoT, fintech and AI. In this week's show, Dave and I are talking about that approximately 47% of jobs in industrialised nations like Australia are at risk of redundancy as automation is outstripping job creation, according to an Australian professor that's involved in a British study. Hi Dave, great to see you. How's it going this week?
It's going great, man. This is a great topic because this is kind of an international thing, not just Australia, but it's interesting, kind of looking at this through the lens of Australia, really kind of as a use case for how this automation will affect, the economies going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite a daunting prospect, really, isn't it? It really is. If people aren't up on technology and where their career is or how it's going to evolve. So, how do you see automation causing the unemployment within Australia, say over the next 10 years? What's your speculative view on that one?
Yeah, we're going to go through a tremendous shift. I mean, with self-driving cars, and that's not just an Australian thing, but it's everywhere right now, and certainly in the States. Self-driving trucks. The ability to kind of automate delivery of things such as drone delivery and, all these things that are, seem like science fiction, 10 years ago are moving into reality these days. In fact, the technology is working and is ready to go. It's just we can't get the laws and the legal issues and the insurance issues, done to let it complete. But eventually it's going to become a reality. And if so, guess what? Lots of people are going to be having to change careers or find themselves out of work. And so we're going to find a number of people who drive trucks, who do manual labor kinds of things that are replaced by robotics, replaced by AI technology, replaced by self-driving cars. Drivers are probably one of the #1 professions here in most states here in the United States. We're going to be automated. And so the scary thing is that we have to go ahead and change the way in which we deal with these people and make sure that we're retraining them to get into other forms of employment. That's the bad news. The good news is I think we've gone through this many times before. The Industrial Revolution, we've automated with farm equipment and things like that. This is kind of none different. We're just kind of taking it to the next level. But the scary thing is that the economy is going to change and therefore risk is going to pop up. We are going to get kind of an accordion of events that occur. So unemployment could actually go up significantly before it goes down significantly. And I think that all the industrialized countries out there that are going to be experiencing this need to put policies and programs into place so people are getting retrained and there's an incentive to really kind of change your career. So I'm not going to have much sympathy for somebody that doesn't see the writing on the wall in terms of changing, their career path. If they're a driver, and self-driving cars are basically all the rage and their drivers aren't needed anymore, they need to get into something else. However, you have to have capabilities to put in place some funding to make sure that these people are going to find gainful employment. And so they're going to be trained in the certain areas they're looking to do. And so if people want to make changes in their career, which they have to because of the economy, and like I said, we did this before when, horse and buggy went away and were replaced with cars. It's just something that's going to happen as part of the evolution here of automation around technology.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's the evolutionary cycle of technology which does away with, jobs, etc. Factories in the UK that were once thriving factories and housed many thousands of people and supported hundreds, if not thousands, of families as well, are now apartments. Because industries dried up, computers and automation have gone and outsourced to China or somewhere cheaper or somewhere where labour's a lot cheaper. But even for China now and certainly India, I believe there was a report done by the World Bank. The World Bank did some research actually, and that 77% in China there's a threat. Let me reword that. There's a 77% threat in China with regards to the job loss side of things as well. And a 69% threat within India. So, a huge amount of problems potentially there, but initially problems, but you'd probably say that they're going to bend with that. They're going to be like water and go with the flow and cash in on that as well, aren't they, really? Because it's the natural form of evolution, but there's always that knee-jerk reaction, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so. I think it is the knee-jerk reaction, and I think we are going to see some pain initially. This happened whenever we changed the focus of the economy into something, moving to a service-based economy versus a production-based economy, which happened over the last 50 years. Now moving into an automated-based economy, where we're able to kind of automate the last mile in terms of what corporations are able to do. So while robots were building our cars, they didn't build everything in the last 20, 30 years in most of the car manufacturing plants. And so now we'll have robots that are able to build the entire car. And human beings, probably do not need to be a part of the process. And by the way, they may turn the lights off in the factory, so they have a completely dark factory with these things operating in the dark, building cars, and all we're doing is putting metal on one side and cars come out the other. So it's not going to be that simple, and humans are still going to have to really kind of run the automation. But the 10,000 employees needed to run a factory in a reasonable amount of time, could be down to 1,000 or 500. And I think that this is going to be something that's going to be, kind of noted in history as the, great phase of automation. So the next 10 years is going to be the automation revolution, where in essence, we looked at everything that could be eliminated and eliminated it. So humans get to do things what humans are good at doing. So we're good at innovating and creating, and we're good at thinking, and good at problem solving, things like that. Where robots and other forms of automation, even though they can have human intelligence capabilities with AI, in essence, they're designed to do repeating tasks, much more efficient than we can as a human, because we get tired and fatigued and things like that. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. So quality of goods and services should go up. Prices should drop significantly, specifically if we're able to automate things and not have to pay humans to build them. Probably you'll hear about the notion of a robotic sweatshop, coming up, where people are, looking at these robots as really kind of, unpaid labor, things like that. Also, we're going to hear about new tax things that come forward. I mean, Bill Gates suggested that we tax people who are using these automated robots to do things because they're eliminating jobs. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I do agree that as people reap the benefits of this, that we need to kind of understand that some of those benefits need to be funneled to re-engineering the humans that are going to be displaced. And I think that's going to be the challenge of civilization going forward. I suspect that the U.S. is going to have it in droves. Australia is going to have it in droves. Europe's going to have it in droves. And certainly we can start building the best practices now.
From my point of view, or maybe from a recruitment point of view, it's certainly something that I've honed in on with regards to the importance of soft skills. That machines can't give you necessarily the soft skills that you do require, that a human can offer, although they can obviously emulate as best they can based on the data they're put into. But I think soft skills are still a major thing out there. Would you agree when it comes to technology? And the cloud is great and the technology is great behind the cloud, but essentially it takes great people to make a great cloud. Would you agree with that, Dave?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, companies are still going to be defined by the quality of people who are within the company. And I think people have to have the soft skills to understand what's going on and how to, deal with other people. And I think automation is really just going to be part of our life. We couldn't imagine driving in cars full time, 115, 120 years ago. Now we do it every day. We don't even think about it. And HVAC systems and automation systems and flying jet airplanes and things like that. So eventually it becomes baked in our psyche and what we're able to do, and we kind of adapt as humans and looking at doing what humans do best. And so humans do best interacting with people. I don't think we're ever going to build a machine that's going to have the capability of relating to somebody else, another human being. And so your capabilities of doing that are really going to be the best path going forward. In fact, we're advising somebody, I'd say that this is about you interacting with other humans and not anymore interacting with machines, which you may have done for the last 20 years, but those jobs are going away. And I think people are going to be better off for it. I think you're better off in understanding how to relate to other people than you are to machines. And I think that that's not necessarily a bad thing. So the Industrial Revolution, we have the buildings here, like you're talking about in Australia, that are now apartments where, they're big, huge industrial buildings that are big hulks. As you take the train up between Washington D.C. and New York, which I did last week, it's actually littered with them, and so the Rust Belt and things like that are real things. So those should be reminders of the fact that about every 20, 30 years, we shed our skin, so to speak, in terms of technologies, and we start learning how to do things better, and we're able to adapt better and make our lives better. So things are cheaper and better and faster today than they were 20 years ago, where a television set cost $500, where a television set today, which is 1,000 times, 10,000 times better, costs $300. And of course it's $500, 30 years ago is different than $300 than $500 today. So these sort of advances are going to be built into the economy. I think they're ultimately healthy. I just don't think we need to we have to gain sight on who's impacted by it and give them the tools so they can be proactive. I'm not necessarily a big fan of pushing people along, but giving people the opportunity to kind of reinvent themselves, I think, is a good thing, and I think they'll feel better for it.
100%. I think that's great. It's a great way to finish on the show as well. So, look, I think if you are in an industry where you feel fearful of where technology is encroaching on your potential longevity there, look, check out the shows that David and I do on a weekly basis, because we cover not only cloud computing for Australia, which is kind of a bit of a global show as well, but essentially we do the training show as well, where there's some insightful things there. And in the description box below, I always put David's training link, which is a link to Linda. And in there you'll find some really insightful courses that will potentially be an asset to reinventing yourself for the future. So always be optimistic and always be focused on where you want to be and what makes you happy, essentially, and click on those links and check them out, see if it's the right career fit for you. That's what I would say. And by all means, contact David on Twitter, which is @DavidLinthicum, if you've got any questions about this next industrial computerization of society. And equally, I'm around as well, and if I can help and get you to think outside the box and make you think about your next career move, I'm happy to help. There's a link below to my online diary for a 15-minute call. So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. It's been very interesting, for some very daunting, but we're there to, and there's lots of people there, not just me and Dave. There's lots of people there to help, but I'm on Twitter as well, which is @Nelson_Hilliard. You can check out the blogs, the videos, and everything like that. Subscribe and yeah, watch out for future shows. But thanks for watching, everyone.